You truly live up to your name. Like when your name is Monster Michael Todd, you have to be a relatively big dude.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I haven't always been this size.
I don't believe that at all. Stop it.
Came out just like this, born exactly like this. Now, I've been competing for a long time, and my first ever national championships was 176.
You weighed 176 pounds?
Yeah, same height, same
That's
frame.
less than I weigh.
Exactly.
And I'm 5'10".
Yeah, so I'm a little over 6'3", and my first nationals in 1992, I was 176.
And what do you weigh now?
260 probably. I've been 330 before though. So.
How many humans did you have to eat to get that big?
I would assume quite a few.
Yeah, that's like to gain 100+ pounds.
Well, it's just I was a 19-year-old kid at my first national championships. I started arm wrestling in 1990. I was 17 years old, and just a redneck from Arkansas. And then now I've just, kept getting bigger. But I can gain weight really easy. Like I have an endomorph body type, so I can get fat. I'm like a big 300-pound country boy if I just ate what I want. But if I eat clean, I look fit,
All right, so like what's a day in your normal diet?
I mean, it's normally 1-to-1 protein to carbs, about 350 protein, 350 carbs, about 100 grams of fat. Try to keep it clean. The leaner I get, the more freedom I have, so the more cheat meals I get to eat. But normally it's about 4,000.
4,000 calories?
Yeah, probably something like that.
If I ate 4,000 calories, I would weigh 300 pounds and not look good at all.
Well, you got a pretty good metabolism. I doubt that.
For now, I have pizza. Pizza's my weakness.
Oh my God. Oh. So what's your favorite pizza?
Like favorite type of pizza?
Favorite chain type, whatever you want.
Oh boy.
Because I'm about to nail you with ours, and that's why we're here.
Okay. So I love pepperoni pizza. Like I'm a classic pepperoni pie.
Right.
And I love a New York style. Now that I live in California, it's very, very hard to find like a really good New York style of pizza. So my fiance is going to kill me because she hates the pizza from there, but I love Domino's.
Okay, dude.
I love Domino's.
Man, the 3 toppings, $7.99 carry out.
Oh my God. It's such a good deal. And then they've got that other thing where it's like 2 items for $5.99 each.
Those are medium though. That's just not going to make it work. That's not going to work for me. So, but yeah, I mean, seriously, as far as carry out, Domino's, we're big fans. But Giordano's Pizza, so we're huge Chicago style. And we were here 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago for the rodeo. Like 4 days, and we ate Giordano's 3 times.
Oh my God.
Dude, we're fanatics. It's horrible.
This is where we're going to have to disagree though, because I think that Chicago style pizza to me is more like a casserole.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
And that's fine, but it doesn't feel like a pizza. Like if I have to eat pizza with a fork and a knife, it doesn't really feel like pizza anymore to me.
Yeah, maybe so, but I still love it. We're huge New York style pizza. We're huge traditional Italian pizza. Like when we go to Italy, I love eating pizza in Italy. But and we have a lot of Italian friends because of arm wrestling. We have friends all over the world, right?
Sure.
And they're like, "Oh, that's not a real pizza." I'm like, "No, Giordano's is amazing." So
if I pick up a slice of pizza and it flops down on me,
you got the real deal.
I'm out. I'm like, I know it's going to be awful. I don't want to bite into it.
Yeah.
But especially when you're in New York and you grab that slice and it's just rigid and you bite into it and you get the little, and I'm like, oh, that's it.
The crispy definitely helps.
I want the little, just a little crunch there. But could you eat anything if you wanted to?
Like and be lean and be fit? No.
There's some people though.
Yeah. So I was like 240 5 days ago.
What?
Yeah. So I was about 249. We came to Vegas. I ate bad for 3 days. I was 258. I had to make 240s for a competition 5 days later. So I got down to 240 and then I cheated and I'm like 260 again. So I got to make 231s for a world title match in Istanbul in like 4.5 weeks.
You sound like the type of guy that when you look at food, you gain weight.
I do. It's bad.
So there's weight limits in arm wrestling.
Okay. So I've been the heavyweight and super heavyweight world champ in one league or another for like the last 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
And so I'm actually cutting down. They've got a new weight class. It's kind of, they changed the weight classes up, which used to be heavyweight, is now a light heavyweight at 231 pounds, 105 kg.
That does not feel like a light heavyweight to me.
It doesn't, but I'm going after that world title. It's a young man from Kazakhstan, Angarbayev, Kirdigali Angarbayev. He's a bad dude.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so I got to pull him January 21st in Istanbul, Turkey for the world title.
So let's take this way back.
Yeah, we just jumped all over the place.
And I love this. So we're going to talk more about pizzas later too, I'm sure. But if we take this way back, I feel like every guy in high school is arm wrestling, just kind of like as a show of strength. How does that turn into something well beyond that, where this is something you're doing for a living?
Okay, so I grew up in Arkansas. So I'm just a country boy, redneck from Arkansas who used to arm wrestle. Now, I wasn't really into team sports. Now, my father, he had like college scholarships to go play football and all that, and he got injured his senior year, and he always wanted me to be, I played backyard football, like just out in the yard slamming people to the ground. I enjoyed that, but regular, sports in school, I just didn't really do it. I got into martial arts. I went and saw Karate Kid when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, I got to take karate. And I got a black belt when I was 14, and then I did Shotokan and Taekwondo and Thai boxing, and I was pretty proficient. But I always was a redneck who liked arm wrestling. And I used to always arm wrestle my dad. Like, he'd be sitting in the recliner, and I'd be a little kid, and I'd put my arm up in the arm wrestle, and I'd try to beat him, never could. And when I was 15 years old, I finally beat my dad. And so I could beat everybody in school. And my senior year in high school, I was at Votech. So I was taking auto mechanics, which I didn't really do very well at, but I did a lot of arm wrestling at auto mechanics. But I was at the cafeteria table, and they're like, that guy over there is second in the state. I'm like, well, let's arm wrestle. So I beat the guy, and he's like, you should go to this tournament. And that was the Saline County Fair in 1990. I ended up taking third place.
I feel like arm wrestling should be at a county fair.
That's how it got started for me, right? And that was it. I took third place. I was hooked. I came back home. I built an arm wrestling table or wrist wrestling table, and that's where you lock hands in the middle and you pin your opponent to your forearm. It's not as much technique involved, a lot more upper body strength. But I didn't really build it the right height. I built it for my height, so I built it like 3 inches too tall. And started holding tournaments at the boys' club, and then fast forward and 36 national titles, 23 world titles, and I traveled all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it? Technique? Is it strength? What's the main thing that makes you such a great arm wrestler?
My disgust for losing. I've always told people my disgust for losing will outweigh your desire to win every time. The thrill of victory, like my wife, she lets me celebrate a victory for about a week. I walk around the house, chest all out. She's like, yeah, dude, it's just arm wrestling. It's not that big a deal. Your week's up. But that loss eats away at me. And it's really, I just hate losing. I try as hard as I can not to. Now, as far as whether it's strength or technique, at an amateur level, technique's very important. So if you had a twin brother and I taught you technique and he didn't know it, you're going to kill him. Once you become a world-class arm wrestler, we all know the techniques, and it comes down to who's stronger.
So is it about leverage? Is that the main thing?
Yeah. So most people think arm wrestling is a pushing sport.
Yeah.
Like you just try to push your opponent down. Arm wrestling is really a pulling sport. It's more of a tug of war. I'm going to try to pull you as close to me as possible. And then I try to lay over, once I get you real close to my body, I try to bend my body over until I pin you.
I've seen all these videos online where like guys are like bending their bodies over and like hunching themselves down. Is that actually good technique?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because when I first saw Over the Top years ago, I was an old school wrist wrestler, just threw my shoulder behind it, and I thought the whole movie was fake. I'm like, yeah, that's not even technique. And then I realized, oh crap, they were doing it right,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's outside move. There's a top row, which is the most advanced move, and that's basically you start off with your knuckles high, and you use like a hammer curl, and you pull your opponent back, and you try to crack your opponent's wrist. So you cup and then high knuckle and pronate through their hand to get the wrist to go back. That's the most advanced move. And then there's a hook and drag where you just kind of turn into a hook, use your bicep, drag them down. And you have the shoulder press where you just throw your body behind it.
What do people think that you do for a living? Like if you sit next to somebody on a plane or somebody watches you walk through the Wynn here, what do they think you do?
Most of the time it's football.
Yeah,
my wife.
Or pro wrestler.
I do get pro wrestler occasionally. And sometimes I get mistaken for Triple H. I guess bald and beard, I get that. I get
your beard's just a bit too long,
I do have a long beard.
Yeah.
That's because the wife as well, she likes the big, crazy look.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. So she got me this ring. I won a couple of world championship rings. And
oh yeah, let's see that. Hold that up to the camera here. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So yeah, instead of wearing the brands that I had won the different leagues, she's like, well, let's just get your ring made with all the professional leagues that you've been the world champion of. So it's got around the ring, it's got every league I won the world championship.
That's so cool. Yeah. So at a quick glance, someone's like, oh, a Super Bowl champ.
Yeah, that's what they mostly think.
And I mean, and then this week in particular here in Vegas, walking around with Olympia here in town, there's just so many gigantic people.
Huge. Like, a lot of them aren't as well. Until you see the ones who like aren't actual competitors, but they're my height, they're bigger, and then they're massive.
Yeah.
Most of the bodybuilders are shorter and just freaks.
Yeah, most of them
thick,
are like, we had Jay Cutler sit exactly where you sat on the show. He's like 5'9", 5'10", one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
But he's like short and like
super
wide.
dense.
Yeah.
Just so thick.
But every time I've never been, never been to a bodybuilding show, never been to Mr. Olympia, never been to like the Arnold Classic. Because I'm like, I don't want to be the smallest guy in the entire expo.
Well, the one thing that I always get when I go to these things is like, I should have been better with my nutrition. Because I'm walking around and everybody's super shredded. And I'm like,
Do you think
Keep my shirt on.
Do you think the people that aren't competing dial it in? They're like, oh man, Olympia is coming up here.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to stand at a booth. I want to look gigantic.
I definitely think there's a lot. Now, the funny thing is, and you'll see this, like Kai Green, he's with Redcon 1. I'm a Redcon 1 athlete. And
by the way, I'm addicted to Total War.
We'll have to get you some Total War. I'll let the guys
I've
know.
had Rudy give me a bunch of it.
Rudy, yeah. I love Rudy. He's awesome.
He is awesome. So shout out to Rude Muscle because he's hooked me up with a lot of it. And I'm like, gotta stop it. I've been like, sometimes I'll like take Total War before an interview, which is, I just think.
You get super jacked then, I guess, right?
Yeah. Michael Todd, welcome. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. I love all their products, but yeah. So Kai, he always has a hoodie on, and you see that a lot with these guys who are super jacked and super shredded. If they're not in contest shape, they kind of got body dysmorphia, kind of like I do. Like I was a short, chubby kid growing up, so I always feel like I'm a little fat, you know. And it's funny because if they're not as jacked or as lean as you see them in competition, sometimes they're going to keep it hidden.
So those are the type of guys that are like, man, my body fat's in the double digits. I must be like huge now.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, man. I mean, that's the thing is I'm getting, as I've gotten older, I'm getting better with just being comfortable in my own skin. Like, and you know, I used to, if I didn't have abs, it wasn't this, I didn't feel as good. And I still do want to be the best athlete I can be. I turned 50 in like 6 months.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So I'm blessed that I get to, compete and still live a healthy, fit lifestyle. So
the really interesting thing about your sport is there's a lot of people in every other sport that when they get into their 30s, they're old.
Right.
When they get into their 40s, they're probably not playing unless you're Tom Brady. How is it in arm wrestling that it seems that the older you get, the better you get?
Well, that's the one thing about arm wrestling is it's tendon, ligament strength, so it's joint. I mean, once you get real rigid, you actually become a better arm wrestler. They're stronger in your tendons and ligaments. And like my arm, I've lost 19 and a half inches range of motion in my right arm. The doctor x-rayed it 12 years ago and said they found over 70 fractures. So I'm about to do this for the camera. So this is my left arm straightened up.
Okay.
This is my right
arm. Wait, what? Doing this camera here. Oh, yeah, I see.
Way worse, right? Okay, so this is what's even worse than that. My left arm will come all the way back to my shoulder.
Okay, yeah.
My right won't come past here.
No way. Look at the size of this bicep, though. That's why.
That's it.
It's because you got this gigantic bicep there.
No, it's just multiple fractures and bone growth and all kinds of stuff.
So if you have 70 or had, maybe you still do have.
I would assume I have more now because that was 12 years ago.
They didn't do anything to fix this?
My right arm's never had surgery. It's just keeps calcifying and just turns into some weird freaky joint.
If you measured your right arm, would it be that much bigger than your left arm, or is it the opposite?
My right arm's about a half inch bigger than my left.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. My right forearm's about 3/4 inches bigger. My right forearm's quite a bit.
But you are also wrestling with, or arm wrestling with both arms.
Yeah. So I've won world titles, probably right down the middle. I've got 23 world titles, probably 12 right, 11 left, 36 national titles, somewhere almost even. But the left arm actually landed on the table behind me 12 years ago in the middle of a world title match. The doctor misdiagnosed me and said I had a muscle tear. So I went into the match. I didn't test it out at all. As soon as they said go, I drove into position. And it was on Eurosport, so there's all these cameras, and I'm putting on a show. I'm like, pow. It just, medial collateral ligament rips off the bone, the flexor mass rolls up the forearm, and the elbow dislocates about 6 inches. Yeah, it literally flops the table right behind me. Like I'm facing this way, and it slaps the table.
No way.
Yeah, so that's what that scar's from.
Oh, that's a big scar.
But yeah, so they rebuilt it. I've won a couple of world titles since then, but the left just doesn't have the same integrity as the right. Like I don't trust it as much.
Are you naturally ambidextrous?
No. In 1994, I was at the national championships in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, and the first time they ever had left-handed competition at the national level, and it was on Friday. The right hand was on Saturday. I couldn't stand to watch people arm wrestle without me, so I went ahead and entered the left. So that's
and you won the left?
No, I got killed.
What about the next day with the right?
I actually took 5th that year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took my first national championship I was 176 pounds in 1992. I finished 7th. The next year I finished 3rd behind the greatest arm wrestler of all time, John Brzezinski, and then Ron Bath, who's another legend. And I finished 3rd at another nationals. I went to the world championships that year and finished 6th. But it was I competed for 10 years before I won my first national championships. But then I won every year for 10 years.
The really interesting thing to me about arm wrestling is the barrier of entry is it's like nothing really. You know, do you have an arm? Like
exactly.
That's it. Whereas like if you want to play hockey, for example, you need the equipment. If you want to play basketball, you at the very least need a ball and a hoop. With arm wrestling, you could do it anywhere, basically.
Any surface.
Yes.
As long as you have a surface that you can arm wrestle on. I mean, it's preferably to have a table, but any surface, and you can challenge somebody to arm wrestle.
Yeah, this is very much like a schoolyard. I would do it all the time, and I was not great at it. And it's interesting because it wasn't always the biggest or strongest looking guys that would be great at arm wrestling.
My stepson's a 7-time national champ, and he right now he weighs about 180. He's won the 121s, the 132s, 143s, and he had my granddaughter, and so he put on some baby weight. But at 150 pounds, he could just walk through everybody in my town.
What is it?
He knows how to arm wrestle. I mean, but he's also very, very strong in arm wrestling. Like, people are like, that guy's stronger than you. I'm like, no, his bench press muscles are stronger than mine. My arm wrestling muscles are highly developed.
So what does your normal workout look like? Is it just like right arm workouts all day?
No, there are some people that do that. They prioritize just training the right arm. I try to train like an athlete, and then I just incorporate arm wrestling specific exercises inside my circuit. So I'll do so years ago I used to do, multiple sets, like say I'm doing chest or lat pull downs or whatever, and I do, 3 sets or whatever. Then I was like, that just takes too long. Because it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't stress relief. It was a job. It's something I had to do.
Yeah.
How can I get this job done as quick as possible?
Yeah.
So I would just do 1 set of 30. So then I'd go to the next exercise, 1 set of 30. And so I just started doing sets at 30 of everything. And then I started increasing the weight significantly. So like my chest workout years ago would be 225 on the incline, 30 reps. And then I'd do 30 pull-ups and 225 on the flat for 30 reps. And then I'd do 30 lat pull downs. And it was just, I'd just be repping 225 all the way through my workout, for 30 reps. Now I do that, but I incorporate wrist rolls. So I have a wrist roller, a cable pull that mimics arm wrestling, and then I do battle ropes to blow up your hands.
Yeah, I've seen you where you're on a table like with a cable.
Right. So that's one thing. There's all kinds of different arm wrestling attachments now. People have developed different handles, spinning handles, pronation handles, cupping, supination handles, just to train various techniques. And because, you're not always going to have a training partner. And sometimes if you're the strongest guy in your club or your group, it's hard to get that work. Sometimes you have to put like a 100-pound band on the opponent, pull against them and the band.
So where do you find an arm wrestling group or a club?
Well, they're all over the place. If I tell people like, well, where can I find a club? Usually just go to Facebook and type in arm wrestling in your area and somebody's going to come up. There's actually an arm bet app that you can go on and find, and you can click, are there arm wrestlers in my area? And they'll come up. So there's a lot. Ever since COVID actually helped arm wrestling out a lot because there weren't any sports going on. So people went to YouTube, they found arm wrestling, and arm wrestling kind of blew up. Yeah,
I feel like it's right there on the brink of being like a major sport. What's holding it back?
Okay, so that really is the case, I believe, as well. I think we're kind of like where UFC was right before Ultimate Fighter. We're still kind of underground. There's still a decent fan base, but it hasn't went mainstream yet.
Yeah.
To me, it's character buildup. Like if you just turn the channel and you see 2 people arm wrestling, you're not invested. But if I know why I should vote for Chris or pull for Chris or why I should get behind Michael, once I know who the characters are, it's a lot easier to get invested in.
That's a really good point. And
in my opinion,
I feel like there's been some elements of pro wrestling that has kind of seeped its way into the arm wrestling world.
Right.
Where there's good guys and there's bad guys. And how can you bring more of this, I guess?
Man, it's just really right now, the athletes taking control of their own narrative, having our own platforms, putting out our own content, letting people get to know us. I'm probably one of the most hated guys in the sport, and it's because of one of my techniques. It got named the King's Move, and it's kind of unorthodox, and it's really because of my lack of range of motion that I just had to develop a way to still be competitive. And I ended up beating one of the guys who was the most popular guy, and his legion of followers just started hating me, and then it just kind of rolled from there. But it's got me a lot more. I think we've done 113 million views across all 3 platforms this year. So
what's the difference in the technique? Is it just that you pull them in closer on that one?
Well, it's one of those where I drop down lower. Because if I want height with my left hand, I just bring my hand closer. My right won't get any higher. So to get that height, I had to drop below to get my hand to come up higher. And it just kind of looks unorthodox to people.
So there's this guy that pops up on my TikTok For You page all the time. He's the arm wrestling whisperer.
Yeah, the biker guy.
Yeah. What do you think of his technique?
He's good. He's a very fundamentally sound arm wrestler. He's a lightweight from Southern California, and he's done great with his brand. It's funny because we're like, oh, you should arm wrestle. I'm like, yeah.
You should arm wrestle him.
I would love to. It's just he's in California. I'm in Arkansas. It's way different level.
4-hour drive from here. You should go tomorrow.
Well,
tell Redcon one. Sorry.
Exactly. Hey, can't do that.
Maybe he's here. He could be here.
He might be. There's actually a tournament tomorrow. The Ultimate Arm Wrestling League's holding a tournament. It's one of the leagues I'm the world champion of. They're holding a tournament tomorrow at the Olympia. So he might be at that.
Yeah.
Good kid though. I haven't. We've just messaged a few times, but he's a lightweight. He's probably a high state level, but he's doing great with his brand.
Wait, it's just brilliant the way that he does it, because he'll grab someone who looks like he's way smaller than that guy.
Right.
And he'll just be like, oh, that's good. You're strong. Yeah, hold it there.
Oh, it's hilarious too, because one of my buddies who actually trains with me, he's like the top guy in California. He's like, yeah, he actually doesn't talk like that. He only does it during his video. So,
and then he'll be like, okay, are you ready? Okay, here we go. And then he'll just pin the guy.
right. Yeah. I mean, because he's going against normal people. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he's like 165 pounds.
So you're saying you would destroy him?
It would be bad. Yeah. But he's a good kid.
Would you beat him in less than 3 seconds?
Maybe 1/10 of a second.
Wow.
Yeah. As soon as they say go, his hand would get pinned. But that's most arm wrestling matches are like that. I'm the guy that wins the long match. I'm the guy that wins the unwinnable match. Like, I get in the worst possible position, and I'm too stubborn to quit, so I find a way to win. Hence the 70+ fractures.
Yeah. Why is it so often that it's like go, pin, that's it, done?
Well, at this level, and at a lot of different, like, there's speed is very important. Timing, getting a good setup. And arm wrestling has actually kind of went to the way to where more people focus on getting everything they can in the setup versus just being the stronger guy. I'm still kind of old school in the fact that I just get a really fair grip and just want them to say go. And then if you slip, you go to the strap. And I'm like, hey, just duct tape us. Just wrap me together with this guy and somebody say go. I mean, I would prefer to arm wrestle that way. But I haven't figured, even though I've been doing it in my 33rd year, I haven't figured out the cheating aspect of it very well yet, right? Like, I don't know how to get.
How can you cheat?
Oh, you can manipulate the setup horribly. You can distract the referee while you're getting a higher grip. It's become very manipulative is the word I want to use, but it's just, there was a league that came out that I'm World Arm Wrestling. I'm actually the world champion of that league as well. And it was kind of wild, wild west. They kind of threw the traditional rules out the window because they wanted it to be more entertainment. And with that came, well, hell, what can we get away with, right?
Right.
And so a lot of the arm wrestlers started, going before the go, applying pressure, rising, covering the knuckle, just things that you're not supposed to do. And then they get away with it. And now it's kind of just standard practice.
When I shook your hand when you walked in here, I went, man, that is a meaty fist.
When I shook your hand, I'm like, dang, because honestly, it's hilarious. It doesn't matter if I'm shaking your hand or if I'm shaking an old grandmother's hand. I have no idea what you tell me your name is because I'm thinking about how strong your hand is. So it's horrible for business because I always have to ask your name again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got a very strong hand.
Really?
Yeah, I could easily teach you how to beat all your friends for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump over here.
All right.
We'll have to probably move the mic, and then we'll get back to chatting again here. But I want to become a great arm wrestler. So, all right. So let me jump over here. Move the mic over there a little bit.
All right. Headphones on or off? I look super cool with them on, so I'm going to go with that.
And then we'll move the mic so it's in between both of us here.
Right.
That works, I guess?
Yeah, we'll hold it here.
Okay. So
first off, I want you to show me what you would normally do. So just ready, go. Okay, so what I
feel like I'm going to win.
Well, yeah, you're not. And I'll show you the technique that I would use from here. Okay, so give me your normal pressure. Ready, go. So I'm going to use my elbow. So you have a 7-inch elbow pad, so I'm going to drag my elbow back. Yeah, so that's back pressure.
Yeah.
The largest muscle you're going to use is your back, right? Okay. So your lat. So imagine doing a one-arm row.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So imagine doing a one-arm row. So drag your elbow back.
Oh, I can bring my elbow back?
Yeah,
I have 7 inches, like you said.
Yeah. See how your knuckles.
Here, I'll tighten this down here.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Well, it's because we're supposed to be sitting over there. Okay. That'll work. You know what? That'll work.
We got it.
Oh, it's fine. It's okay.
All right.
Okay. Now everybody's watching here.
Yeah. So see how your knuckles are pointing at my face?
Yeah.
The first thing you want to do is take your wrist and kick it down so your knuckles are pointed to the ceiling.
But now your knuckles are facing my face.
Well, then I'll just raise mine back up. But so what you want to do from here is spread your fingers across the back of my hand.
Okay.
And on go, you want to crunch down into this position.
Ooh.
And then you want to take your knuckle still high and pull straight back and try to take my wrist.
Okay. So
drag back.
Oh wow.
Now from there, let your body just bend sideways like a side bend without twisting. Twisting torques your arm. It only takes like 14 pounds of pressure to snap your humerus. So see how your left shoulder's back?
Yeah.
Bring it in.
Okay.
Now just keep dragging to your left shoulder and fall backwards. Don't turn away from your hand ever.
Oh.
Yeah, turn straight back. Now from that position, I'm gonna drag you back. Stay tight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that's it. So arm wrestling.
So sorry guys. We're gonna. Yeah, okay, there we go. Try to get this mic here.
Yeah, I can hold on to it if you want me to.
Yeah, it just keeps floating. It's okay.
Yeah. So cup down, take your wrist, point straight down, and pull straight back through my hand. Keep dragging. Now that pressure right there, you're way, way stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a position you want to be in when you're pulling
But
somebody.
you can still turn it from there?
Yeah, which do you want me to go inside, outside? How do you want to take it?
How do you want to lose?
Okay, I'm going to tighten up real tight.
Oh, I feel like my arm's going to break.
Well, all I'm doing is the same thing I'm teaching you to do. I'm just doing it with more power, because arm wrestling muscles are highly developed,
I'm going to win.
Huh?
I'm going to win.
Okay. So you're still trying to push.
Yeah.
You're trying to push my hand down. Drag it. Tug of war, and just let your body keep falling. Keep going.
You're like you're the whisperer.
All right, so I'm going to go into your sideways a little bit, tighten up. So I'm going to push this way.
Oh, wow.
So that's side pressure. So that's a different pressure we weren't talking about.
Okay, I'm going to
We're back over here now?
go back over there. Wow. Okay, wow. Okay, we were okay on the audio there, right? Okay. How can you said that when you go to expos, you'll do that all day, like beat the champ.
Yeah, and that's one.
My arm hurts, and we did that for 2 minutes.
Years ago, so when I first started, I ended up moving down to Baton Rouge. There was a guy down there that I went to my first arm wrestling tournament. He's like, hey, you should come down here and start training with us. And I'd go down there and we'd arm wrestle.
You got a bunch of fans here now. Look at this.
All right, there you go. Yeah. So I'd arm wrestle 500 to 1,000 matches a night, 3 days a week.
What?
Yeah, there'd be 20 guys, and we would just bang, just get on the table and just
My
kill
arm
it.
feels like it's going to fall off.
Well, the more you do it, it hurts. Arm wrestling, most people who start arm wrestling quit within the first year because the arm wrestling pain is like a really bad toothache pain in your bones. So it just hurts really bad.
Yeah, it's like right here, like the
that's more-
insertion of the bicep.
Yeah, that's more tendon ligament.
Okay.
The one that gets bad is when it hurts across your humerus.
Oh.
Just from all that torque, and it just like, I've cried my arms to sleep so many times. But that's how you get good at it. But that's the one thing when we do beat the champs at these expos. And that's what I tell people from a brand perspective, having me on your team or any high level arm wrestler versus like, say you have John Jones or some UFC champ or anybody.
Yeah.
Wrestler.
Yeah.
You can get a picture and you can get an autograph.
Yeah.
You don't get to get in a ring and fight them.
That's true. Yeah, you can't be shooting threes with.
Right. LeBron James.
Yeah.
With the arm wrestling table, you got a chance. And the funny thing is, the story can be, I was this close to beating the world, whether you were or not,
Yeah, I was so close to beating you.
So close.
Yeah, so close.
But yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a memory. It's an interaction. It's an experience they have with that brand. And we always seem to do really well. You'll watch around and you can see at different expos, the one that has the arm wrestling table is always the one that's got the most attraction because everyone wants to arm wrestle.
But it's something like Olympia. Is some gigantic dude going to come up and be like, I'm going to beat you?
Well, they may come up and say that, but they're not going to be. It's just, now there are freaks that exist in the world.
Yeah.
And the more popular arm wrestling is getting, the more chance those people will come out of nowhere. But we have yet to see anyone come out from any sport or just come out of nowhere who could just take on the best of the world. Because you have to be conditioned. There are guys that have huge hands, like Shaquille O'Neal would be phenomenal.
Could you beat Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, but I mean, if you taught him how to arm wrestle 4 or 5 years, he could be really, really good.
Sure.
Brian Shaw, world's strongest man, Brian Shaw,
Yeah.
massive individual, 6'8", 440 pounds. He's actually dabbling a little bit into arm wrestling right now.
Wouldn't he have to cut down 200 pounds to make weight?
No, there's no weight class. It's super
it's
heavyweight.
open, okay.
Yeah. So he would get to pull in the super heavyweight category, which is the category I'm usually in.
That's not fair.
At around 270, and I'm pulling the 350, 400-pound guys. Now, my training partner, I'm going to tell you about him real quick. We call him the gorilla because he's the closest thing to human form gorilla I've ever seen. Corey West is his name. You can check him out. He's 6'3.5", 440 pounds. And I have a video on my phone over there of him reaching down, grabbing a master lock, and snapping it off with his bare hands.
That's insane.
It's insane. Like, I wouldn't even think to try it, right? But basically what happened in the story is he was at work and they lost the key. So one guy went to go get a set of bolt cutters and everybody else was just standing around. He reaches down and grabs it and snaps it off. So I start telling the story, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but he told me. I'm like, hey, he's telling the truth. A couple months later, he's like, check your inbox. I'm like, why? He goes, well, you told the story so many times, I figured I should do it again. And he sent me a video of him just snapping the lock with his bare hands. It's insane.
What?
It's unbelievable. I haven't posted it yet, but when I do post it, that is definitely going to be a viral video because who can do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
How do you develop hand strength? Because like you, and actually we talked about Dr. Bo Hightower who connected us. So super grateful to him for
Awesome
that.
guy, yeah.
His hands, like yours, are very meaty.
So my hand hasn't, I don't have a large hand for a guy my frame, right? My hand's not huge in dimension, but it's thick. And it's thick from just years of training. And what I've done is I've just taken a manual labor approach to training. People say we can't train the same muscle groups every day. Well, people go into boot camp and do push-ups every day and come out with a jacked up chest.
That's true.
I mean, we see that all the time.
Yeah.
Mechanics go to work every day and turn wrenches. Mm-hmm. They don't go to work today and like, well, I got to take off tomorrow because I turned wrenches yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was wrench day.
Yes, can't do it again. Carpenters, pipe fitters, shrimp boat guys. I mean, they're working their hands, wrists, and forearms every day. Hauling hay, anything.
Yeah.
So if you just take the same manual labor approach and just train your hand, wrist, and forearm every day.
So what does that look like in a gym?
Well, so you can go to monsterfactory.shop. I have some different training equipment. One is a wrist roller, and I just set it up and I just roll forward with, weights and stacks of weight, and then I let it go down. Then I roll it backwards to forward and backwards, and then spinning handles. Like I was saying, the spinning handles, set it up for arm wrestling and just cup and spin. And honestly, battle ropes blow my hands up like crazy. People are like, oh, you're not doing them right. Yeah, I'm doing them for hands. Because
what's it look like when you do them for hands?
You just don't have to be as intense with them.
Oh.
Because so have you ever done any BFR training, blood flow restriction?
Yes. I just did it with Diamond Dallas Page.
Dude, yeah. So I did yoga with Diamond Dallas Page last year. We did a crazy tour. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, awesome. Phenomenal shape.
I spent a whole day living like Diamond Dallas Page. I did a hyperbaric chamber. We did awesome. Breathing. We did a cold plunge. We did the blood restricted training, which blew my arms up.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, so he was awesome. So I've been doing BFRs since 2016.
Oh, wow.
I tore my right pec, and my physical therapist was like, you need to start doing some BFRs. Well, instead of doing them the way you're supposed to do them, I just said, screw it. I'm just going to do my normal workouts with BFRs on it. And it's been horrible, right? It's the most excruciating workout you ever do.
Absolutely.
The pump is unbearable, but it trains you. And this is what I always try to tell people. Most professional arm wrestling is one-on-one. Like you and I would arm wrestle the best of 5, first one, most of 6 rounds, whatever. And
sure.
So I can go 100% of my maximum effort for up to 10 to 15 minutes because I do it every single day of my workout. From the moment I start my workout, I set a timer and I don't stop until I'm done. Like I'm always lifting, and I always have the BFRs on. So the pump that you get during training, and I tell people, listen, if you prepare for worst case scenario, people are like, well, my hand wouldn't have got pumped out of one. Well, train when your hand's pumped. So I train for the worst thing that could possibly happen so that when competition day comes, I'm already prepared for it,
Yeah.
But the pumps are really bad. So I don't know what I was about to say. Oh, yeah. So in the circuit will be, like say it's a back day. I'll do 30 reps of spinning handle pull downs. So the whole time it's trying to rip your whole hand open. And then I'll go to wrist rolls, cable pulls, and then I'll do battle ropes. And at this point, your hands are blown up already. And that's just round 1. You got 5 rounds. So the next one is seated rows, spinning handle, same thing. Finish the circuit. And then I'll do 1-arm rows from a cable with a spinning handle. Sometimes a 3-inch thick handle is horrible. And then I'll do bent over rows, spinning handle, and then straight bar pull downs. It's the only back exercise I do that isn't hand and wrist related. But your hand and wrist are so pumped throughout the circuit because you're doing wrist rolls, cable pulls, and battle ropes. When you get done, it's brutal. But your hand's like that fat.
How much longer could you keep up this pace?
I don't think I peaked yet, honestly.
Come on.
I swear, I tell my wife all the time, we have something really cool planned for this next year. And so we did a tour last year. Last year, we jumped in. I raised about $100,000. I got an RV. I wrapped it. And we did a 5-month tour. We traveled all 48 continental states. 20,000 miles, and I did arm wrestle over 3,000 matches. I would just pull out the arm wrestling table and take on all comers, right?
Did you win all 3,000 matches?
No, I probably lost about 30.
No way.
Yeah. It's so funny because YouTube and social media is so, if you don't have a social media platform, they're like, oh, you're a bum. So these guys that were beating me inside these huge practices were like, oh, you lost to nobody. I'm like, yeah, that guy's like a 3-time world champ. You just don't know him. He doesn't have social media.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. So we had a great experience. We enjoyed it so much. And I've been so much a pro arm wrestler doing one-on-one super matches for the last decade. I want to get back to tournament arm wrestling, double elimination tournament arm wrestling. So I partnered with Redcon One Energy, and we're rewrapping my RV, and we're going to go on the road again. And it's my quest to win 100 first places starting January 7th. So I'm going to be on the road next year until I win 100 first place awards.
100 in a year, or just
100?
You're not stopping until you win 100.
Well, the goal is to do it within a year. I've
probably do it in a weekend at this rate.
I've conservatively done the math. Now, that's the reason I'm cutting weight. Like, I'll pull the 242-pound division right and left, super heavyweight division right and left,
sure,
over 40 division right and left. If there's an overall division, if I could win every division, which I won't be able to because be arm wrestling almost every week. I've conservatively done the math, and if I win most of the things, I will have 100 awards by the end of August.
What's your recovery look like?
Well, the way it's going to look out on the road is I'm going to do an arm wrestle on Saturday. On Sunday, I'll do back and bicep. Monday I'll do chest and tricep. Tuesday
So
I'll do shoulders.
hold on. After really working your arm, you're gonna have an arm workout the next day.
I'm a huge advocate. I've told everyone for years, you arm wrestle, it hurts so bad you won't be able to straighten your arms for like 3 days. If you do biceps, a high volume bicep workout the very next day, it'll be excruciating for the first 3 rounds, but then you get that blood in there, blood heals damaged tissue. I can go back to heavy benching the very next day.
That's wow.
Yeah, so it'll be back and biceps, chest, tricep, shoulders, and then legs on Wednesday, rest Thursday, Friday. Now, you just mentioned it because you said you did cold plunge with DDP. So I just partnered with Plunge, and my plunge is on its way right now.
I just got a plunge.
I talked to him about it because I talked to him 2 weeks ago when I was here for the rodeo. And like, oh, dude, Chris just got a plunge. Said he just filmed some stuff with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. Adam is who I was talking to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I get my plunge coming, and so I'm a big advocate of.
That's going to change your life.
I really think so.
Yeah, you know, 1 for the recovery, which is amazing for you as a pro athlete, but
Right.
2 for just like the mindset of like, it's cold this morning.
Yes.
I don't want to get in there, but I know that when I get out of there, 1, I will have proved to myself I did something hard, and 2, the blood rushing,
Oh, no, it releases endorphins. I mean, there's so many things about it.
dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of you just have to be, I mean, you got to embrace the grind. You know, you got to become comfortable being uncomfortable. We've heard I listen to Matt Frazier and Tia Claire Toomey, and we're huge CrossFit fans, and the mindset of a champion, it's just, it sounds like me talking when I hear them talking, you know, and they're very accomplished athletes, the best to ever do it. But it's just, there's something different about when you embrace the grind and you're just like, listen, I'm going to do what others won't do, you know? And that's the thing. All my training, everything's online. Everything I do, every preparation for every match. They're like, why do you put all your stuff out there? I'm like, well, if you want to beat me, you have to outwork me. I'm confident you want to outwork me, you know?
Where did this mindset come from for you?
Actually, I don't know. I've always just been extremely competitive. My family will tell you, don't play cards with me. Don't do. I mean, like if you and I start shooting the basketball, we got to start taking score, even if it's 21 or I mean, I can't just do things for fun. We went bowling the other night for my wife's birthday party, and there's about 5 people on the lane. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm done. I got to get my own lane because I can't sit around and wait, right? Like I'm extremely competitive. I've always been that way, and it's just. I want to fulfill my potential in every area of my life, whether it's being a better Christian, a better husband, better athlete, better, you know, so every day I just try to be better than I was yesterday.
When you lock up with somebody for the first time, can you instantly feel, oh yeah, I'm going to beat this guy?
99% of the time. Yeah. Yeah. You'll know. I mean, so this guy that I'm pulling for the light heavyweight world title, he is extremely explosive. He has a very good hand. But I don't think he has a clear lane of where he can beat me. I don't think he's going to beat my hand enough to where he's going to put me in a disadvantage to where he'd be able to transition around to pin me. There's so many different techniques that he'd have to do. The only way I believe he could beat me is if he's able to flash me as soon as I say go. And very rarely.
But you already know that.
Yeah, very rarely can anyone do that.
Ah. So I've seen so many arm wrestling matches where it looks like the one guy's about to lose. His hand is half an inch away, and somehow he comes back and pulls a win. How does that happen?
Well, I jokingly used to tell people, like, if you get me almost to pinning me and you're not going to pin me, I might as well pin you, you know? And it just comes down to, there's not a position on the table right-handed that I'm uncomfortable unless I'm touching the pin pad. There's not a position on the table right-handed that I can't win from. If I watch an arm wrestling match and you pull it up, I can tell you what each guy has to do to win. But it's just habit. I mean, I've done it. People are like, well, you must not. Have you ever been beat? I'm like, dude, I've lost 100,000 times. I just don't lose much anymore because I've arm wrestled well over 1 million matches, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a great teacher of arm wrestling because everything I do is just so instinctive because I've been doing it for so long. But
you can see stuff and go, ow, you know, change your wrist here, do this with your knuckles. Or
I mean, I've trained
exactly what you did to me.
Well, I mean, I've trained probably a dozen people, but won national titles, a half dozen people become world champion. But I'm not the most patient teacher. I'm like, dude, just do it. You know? But, and my wife, she's a 7-time national champion as well.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, she actually kills it. She's super strong. She's
how quickly would you beat me? Like 3 seconds.
Well, okay, so if she could beat your hand, she'll beat you. But your hand's big enough that you may be able to shut her down.
I don't. I'm not. Yeah. I haven't actually arm wrestled in, I don't know, 15 years or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is I don't let arm wrestle men very often, but if she can beat the hand, she's going to take you. The thing about her though is, like, in the beginning I taught her, and then my stepson's a 7-time national champ, so I actually kind of had to pass it off to him because I'd be like, honey, do this, and there the fight starts. You know, because I told you I'm not super patient, so then I get really frustrated, and then somehow I'm in the doghouse.
So how many more matches do you think you'll have this weekend? Pro matches, actual matches, and then just people coming up and being like, all right, let's do this.
So the thing about this, and I'm going to tell you this real quick. We probably need to end here in a little bit, but I actually have a partially torn right bicep. I did have a partially torn right bicep.
This sounds like an excuse.
Well, we could call it that. But I ended up having stem cells, and phenomenal. And 4 weeks later, completely reattached. I ended up getting a second dose of stem cells, and that was 3.5 weeks ago.
Wow.
So I really haven't tested the arm yet, but it's amazing when you look at the ultrasound, you see a complete detachment on the top end, it's attached on the bottom, and then you see it completely reattached. So I'm super excited about that. But now the left shoulder, we were hiking in the UK. We took a 2-week tour of the UK, and I took 2 falls like within 30 minutes of each other on this hike. Apparently, my wife says I'm accident prone. I don't think that's the case. I think I fall a lot. But so I fell, and I'd already had an injury in my left shoulder. Fell wrong, and then I fell on my right arm. And shortly after that, I had a big practice, and then shortly later, I was going to beat the champ. I had the tear in my bicep. The left shoulder, I actually got it MRI'd at the same time. So my subscapularis is completely torn off the bone, 1.5 centimeters retraction. And then the supraspinatus is partially torn. So I ended up getting stem cells in both spots. I don't think it's going to do anything for the full detachment, but it's helping the supraspinatus. So I'm kind of injured, but I'll get on the table some. So I probably a couple hundred matches.
A couple hundred matches.
Yeah, it won't be,
nothing big.
Well, I mean, it'll just be, I'll test it out, see how it feels. If anything feels uncomfortable, I'll stop.
It's really amazing how we're talking about stem cells now, like very much in the infancy of what's possible here.
Right.
I read Tony Robbins' book, Life Force, and he talks about just how great stem cells are. I feel like people will be having these types of conversations in 10, 20, 30 years, like it's the same as like icing your shoulder or something. It's just like, oh, you haven't got stem cells yet? Here you go. Like,
100%. And I mean, the thing about it, regenerative medicine, it's just the science is there. You only have one body. You only have one chance at this thing. Why not live your best life? Is it okay if I mention the guys I got it from?
Of course.
Check out VitaCell Biologics. Use code MONSTER. They are spectacular. They've really taken care of me, and they're helping out. The funny thing is, since I got them, like 4 or 5 of the other aging arm wrestlers in the United States who are among the very best in the world have all gotten stem cells. So our older athletes here are about to be dominant again because we're getting those new stem cells. But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's been such a pleasure having you come by here. Thank you for making me a future world champion arm wrestler. Yeah. I end every conversation talking about gratitude because it's such an important thing in my life. And I say out loud every day when I wake up 3 things I'm grateful for. And I do it before I go to bed as well. So what are 3 things in your life, Monster Michael Todd, that you're grateful for right now?
Man, I have an amazing wife. So I live every day with my best friend. That's why we do this whole social media thing. So that every single day I get to experience life with my best friend. So that's either see a sunset, hear a joke, and hear her laugh, whatever. She's what I'm most grateful for. Lord has blessed me a lot, but I have 4 healthy grandchildren with a 5th one on the way. So they're a blessing. And just health. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful to be nearly 50 years old and in my mind still believe that the best is still yet to come. So just positive attitude and amazing wife and support system. And just, I'm blessed every day.
All right. As we wrap this up, let's compare the arms of a normal human to the arms of a monster. Oh yeah. They're almost the same, right?
Basically exactly the same.
Oh, you don't need to zoom in like that. Come on. Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. What a hand. Jesus. It's like a catcher's mitt.
Man, thanks for having me. Really.
No, I really appreciate you.
Awesome,
Thank
man.
you.
Yes, sir.